Going. Okay, welcome. My name is Megan, and Bronwyn Simons is here with me again. This is our July new moon activation, the third of what we intend to make a monthly contribution to people's growth and spiritual development. So, welcome back, Bronwyn.
Thank you. It's so great to be back, and I'm happy. Last new moon was a lot of intense energy for all of us to deal with, so I have some better energetic news for us this new moon. So looking forward to sharing that.
Good, good. It feels like so familiar to be talking to you. Bronwyn and I have been spending oodles of time together this way, virtually. And the work that we've been doing together most recently is her assistance and support in creating a chart for Perennial and for Surya Cafe. And that has just, I didn't know that a place could have a chart up until recently. And the work was monumental and exactly what I needed when I needed it. And I think it's going to prove to be what makes all the difference for Perennial. So I have just deep gratitude for you again.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, thank you so
and
much.
you're welcome. And before we move on to talking about the July new moon, I do want to share at the top of this conversation how people can connect with you. And you have some really valuable things on your website that are available. So will you just talk to us a little bit about that? We do have links on the Perennial website, but how do people get directly to you if they'd like?
Yeah. So my website is bronwynsimons.com. What I really would like to tell you guys about right now is a couple of free offerings that I have that you can access if you subscribe to my email list. So Megan's going to share a link underneath this that goes directly to my email list. And upon signing up, you get, most pertinent to this work that we're doing, you get a nice moon playbook that's going to take us through the rest of the summer. It has a little moon calendar that shows the new moon dates and times and the full moon dates and times, talks about the signs that they're in, and gives you some journaling pages so you can work through your own intention setting and reflections on the moons. And it's got some really pretty illustrations too. I always like to make things aesthetically pleasing. I've got Moon Venus, so that's always important. And there's a nice printable page of planetary affirmations that you can put up on your mirror. And it gives us, as we work through these really challenging times that we're in, some really positive ways to approach the energies. So those are two freebies that I would love you guys to have access to, and you can just click on the link to sign up. I'm also on Instagram a lot, doing lives and answering questions. So on Instagram, I'm at moon.wisdom. So I would love to see anybody in the Perennial community there. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Megan, for inviting me to share that.
And I still fantasize about the day that's going to come sometime. I understand it's a ways down, but where we're going to bring you back to Madison.
I can come in person and see your beautiful studios in person and meet everybody. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The air will start to clear in 2021, and who knows, it might be sooner than we think. Yeah. So I look forward to that very much too. It's really good to hold those images as aspirations to get us through. Like you were posting about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's really important to hold those positive images in our minds. So I will be with all of you in the flesh sooner than later.
Good. And my ears perked up and my heart perked up a little bit when you said that, you have information or, wisdom to share about July's new moon that is at least a bit of a shift or something like that.
Yeah.
And we are now, if I understand correctly, on the heels of 3 eclipses, which by itself was a tremendous trip.
Huge.
And we're halfway through 2020, which astrologically I understand now, we all do. I think that 2020 is just a momentous and important and transformative experience for all of us. And usually those things don't come without a lot of charge and a lot of request and need to dig down deep. And so So here we are in July,
Yeah.
and I think it's a Cancer new moon.
Yeah,
And
it is a Cancer new moon. It's actually the second Cancer new moon that we've had, which rarely happens. So
okay.
usually we get one new moon every calendar month, and it matches with the let's see, what's the easiest way to say this? Usually the new moon each month will be in a different sign, and it goes sequentially through the zodiac. But once in a while, if the first new moon in that season, we're in Cancer season right now, is at the very earliest degrees of the sign, each sign takes up 30 degrees. If it's at the very earliest degrees of the sign, then the next new moon will also be in that same sign. It's really a special opportunity. So we had our new moon when we were speaking a month ago. That new moon was at 0 degrees Cancer, very first degree of Cancer. So here we are, and we're going to have the next new moon at 29 degrees of Cancer.
So do we move through 1 degree each day? Is that how
The sun moves 1 degree per day.
Okay.
The moon moves through 30 degrees. Okay, so the moon moves through an entire sign, 30 degrees, every 2.5 or 3 days. So that's how fast the moon is moving. Of course, the sun isn't moving. She appears to be moving. That's the movement of the Earth around the sun, and that takes 1 degree per day, all the way through the zodiac in 1 year. And then the other planets, as we go out, take different periods of time, longer and longer, to move through those zodiac signs. And that's an interesting question, because astrologically, that's how we get these periods of time or cycles in our own lives, right? We have the lunar cycle that takes us a month, and the solar cycle that takes us on that journey in a year. And then we have like the Saturn cycle, which takes us on that same journey, but it takes 28 to 30 years. So it's all those interlocking cycles that give us the energy. It's why the moon is so important too, because she travels so quickly, and she takes us through the speedy journey through every journey of every sign and every energy of the zodiac just in 1 month.
Yeah.
So we get a second stopping point in Cancer this month. So it's the learning there is that we just need a little extra time to spend on this Cancer Capricorn axis, these signs that are across from each other that are so emphasized this year. So much of the the astrological energy of 2020 is based on that sign axis of Capricorn on one end and Cancer on the other. And the energies that they hold, they're both about maturity and growing ourselves up, right? You've heard me talk about this before, but in really different ways. Cancer is the nurturer, the wellspring, the source of yin or feminine energy. Literally the spring, like that beautiful spring water that bubbles up from the ground. And think about all the sacred springs around the world and how feminine energy is seen and worshipped at those places across cultures. That's Cancer, cardinal water. It's the essence of the nurturing yin, receptive, not passive, but receptive power. And then Capricorn is the structures of our lives. So we have source and nourishment, and then we have structure. It's just like the water pouring into the vessel. That beautiful nurturing water that pours from the Cancer archetype needs a structure to hold it. We need both. We need both to be able to create anything. All the exciting beginning energy and nourishing, nurturing energy that we have to give, if it doesn't have something structured to flow out into, we'll just lose it. But the structure by itself is just barren and empty and dry, right? So we need both. And that's Cancer, Capricorn. It's the moon and Saturn. It's those energies working together. It's like the two parental energies, God and Goddess, yin and yang. Of course, all of that is outside of our own societal gender constructs. So don't get me wrong when I talk about those energies. It's not about man and woman. It's about those two great cosmic energies that sometimes have gotten related to gender. But it's really just about the balance of dark and light, the balance of nurturing and containing.
Shiva and Shakti in the yoga.
Shiva and Shakti, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, so that's the axis of energies that we're really being asked to pause on through all of 2020. And it's why this month has been so intense, these lunations. And yes, we are in the middle of the year. And I'm sure it's also feeling for people like they're really like the rubber's kind of hitting the road, like whatever was building up in the spring, like really difficult decisions need to be made. Things are making themselves clear. And maybe even some of the things that we hoped we could escape, but we kind of saw coming are here. And we're just saying, okay, I have to deal with that. That's what the last month has really been about. And to really master these energies right now, we need to acknowledge both the containment and boundaries and difficult hard work and lessons of the Capricorn piece of the puzzle, but then also not forgetting that flow of nurturing and nourishing energy. I've been advising and it's been a big month in my practice, let me tell you. I've had to really amplify my own self-care just because I'm here helping people day after day make really difficult life decisions. So if anyone's listening who has been going through that this month, I really honor you. You are not alone. Many of us are making really hard decisions right now. You've got this. You just have to balance the restructuring with the nurturing of self and others. And for some of us, it is really difficult because what we've seen is the structures in our lives that we depend on have just fallen away. And there's grieving that has to be done. And there's very real feelings of loss and fear. You know, people are losing their livelihoods, people are losing their businesses, people are losing their health. This is real. It's real and it's really challenging. But the answer is always that balance of energies. We always have to be able to access spiritual and physical nourishment. And we always have to be able to be clear and mature with ourselves and sometimes just put on those big girl or big boy pants and just be like, okay, this has to get done. It's not ideal, but it has to get done. So there's been a lot of that this month. And what I want to say about this new moon is it should feel for most of us like a real renewal. Like we mastered the lessons of the last month. And like you were saying before we started recording, Megan, about feeling a real influx of energy and mastery and ability to meet the challenges where there had been a low point before. Yeah. And I think many of us felt that a couple of weeks ago, just like low point around that full moon, just like, wow, do I have anything left to face this with? But we do. And this new moon is bringing that influx of nourishing energy. The beautiful thing about 29 degrees of any sign is it's kind of like all of the fullness that the moon has gone through all the way through Cancer and stored up all this beautiful Cancerian nourishing, nurturing energy. And it spills out at that new moon. We get all of it, 29 degrees. It's the full vessel spilling over. It's been really cold here, so we haven't been able to go swimming in the ocean yet. And last night and the night before I got out for my first ocean swims, it was challenging last night because there were kind of big waves and it was a little bit cold. But just being able to surrender to that mother ocean and that beautiful water was so cleansing and renewing for me. And I slept so well. And that's the vibe of this new moon. That if we can just surrender to that nurturing, nourishing flow wherever it's coming from in our lives, or if we have to create it for ourselves.
So let me ask you,
yeah.
Cancer fits into it's one of the water signs, correct?
It is, yeah. It's the first of the water signs. So there's 3 signs in each element, and they each hold a different part of the story of that element. One holds the beginning, one holds the middle, and one holds the end. So it's like the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer, right? To bring it back to Hindu symbolism. Mm-hmm. So the signs that begin the elemental energy hold that beginning energy. And then the ones in the middle, we call them the fixed signs. And these are the people that are known for their stubbornness, right? The Scorpios and Tauruses and Leos of the world, myself among them. We hold up the middle of things. We're the preservers. And then the destroyer, they're called the mutable signs. So it's really about bringing change, right? They're the change bringers. So where Cancer holds the water story is the beginning of it. That's why we talk about springs and wells.
Mm-hmm.
Scorpio holds up the middle of that water story. So swamps, right? It's like holding the water. And then Pisces, dissolving into the ocean, is the destroyer or mutable version of that. So that's a cool thing to know about the elements and signs. It really, I think, helps us to understand the energy of the sign better.
Mm-hmm.
So if we think about that, the beginning of water, right? That she who brings in that nurturing, the mother's breasts, the well that we go to draw from, to draw our nourishment from, and the place that the well played in traditional cultures, where everyone meets and you take all kinds of nourishment from that, right? Social nourishment, and it's important. That's Cancer. So we all get to drink from that well, and we need it, right? So what I would encourage everyone to do with this weekend leading up to the new moon, because Monday morning, I'm in the Pacific time zone, it's about 10
Oh dear.
on Monday is when the moon is actually new. So we have these couple days before the new moon that are really good time to make sure that you do all the releasing that you need to do. And a lot of us have a lot of releasing to do. In these times, there's grieving sometimes that goes with that releasing because we've let structures go. And if you've been turning away from that, see if you can create a container for yourself to welcome in that grieving and letting go over the next couple of days and be renewed by that. Sometimes we have to shed tears. Sometimes it's simpler than that. And maybe there's just some decluttering that you have to do. You know, it's all hitting our lives in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we walk into Monday morning with that new moon, you'll know that the whole cosmos is behind you in a new beginning. So it's a great opportunity for just releasing all of the energy of the last 6 weeks, huge changes with this eclipse season, big emotions. Cancer's very emotional. It's that a lot of us have been dealing with old emotional patterns and how those old emotional patterns are holding us back from building the new structures that we need to. We see this in writ large in our society, but we also see it in ourselves. So this weekend, if you can take some time, it's such a wonderful chance to do whatever works for you, whether it's your yoga practice or journaling or prayer, time alone. Like I just love to go in the ocean. That's so cleansing and purifying for me. You guys have the beautiful lakes there.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the water. Cancer loves that. And release. And let yourself be emptied out emotionally. Shed tears if you need to, or just get in there and clean the closet. And Monday morning is like a Monday morning. It's like a fresh new start. And you should feel it. You should feel that energy coming in.
Are there any signs that will feel that less so or more so? Or
Yes, it's a really good question. So obviously, if you have placements in Cancer, so if your sun is in Cancer, this whole year is such a big deal for you as far as processing old emotions, working through maybe old family structures, especially that you needed to let go of in your heart. So the Cancerians are really going to be feeling this highly emotional release with this.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Capricorns. It's hitting the Capricorns a little bit differently. For you, if you're a Capricorn, you're really going to be rethinking the way you use your ambition in the world and the way that you build things, and maybe building a little bit more surrender and nourishment into your structures and letting go a little bit. Not easy for a Capricorn who really wants to lead and create things, and that's your beauty and that's your skill. So for the Cancers to bring in a little more structure to hold this big emotional work that they're doing, for the Capricorns to really let themselves be cared for. Very independent sign, right? The Capricorns, to let yourself be cared for. Anybody else on the cardinal, we call it the cardinal axis, right? Those signs that begin. So the Aries, oh my goodness, you guys, you're really feeling a lot right now. So my advice for Aries is just really, like, if you can do if I know it's a lot of yogis listening to this, do your like most intense flow practices, really sweat and get it all out. The Aries in our lives right now are irritated, and they have reason to be. And this is a lot of pressure on them. Um, and that physical outlet is going to be really important for Aries because you're feeling this as a little bit of an abrasive energy. Everyone, whatever your sign is, the nourishment, nourishing, self-care, accepting care from others is really important. For that cardinal axis, you're going to need different things. Aries needs to move. The Libras, the Libras are going to be feeling extra, that indecisiveness that comes with being a Libra is going to be a little bit amplified. So again, going back to self-care, making things beautiful around you, and thinking about trusting yourself. And then the Aries need to move, the Capricorns need to surrender, and the Cancers just need a hug. And the rest of us are a little bit out of the way.
Now in the world of social distancing.
Oh, I know, it's so sad. Give all your Cancer friends virtual hugs.
Yeah.
If you're Cancer, go make a pot of soup and take a nap. Not the thing for the Aries to do. They need to go for a run. So that cardinal axis is really going to be feeling it. The rest of us are a little bit out of the way. But remember that the way our charts are designed, we have placements in every sign. So all of us are Cancer, Capricorn somewhere. All of us are Aries, Libra somewhere. So, and you can kind of intuitively know that. You know what area of your life is being affected by this. Is it your home life? Is it your business? Is it your daily habits? And that can kind of give you a sense of where those signs land in your chart. And working with an astrologer can also do that. So yeah. So, and that's why the guidance of an astrologer is so good too, because we can point to where those Cancer, Capricorn places are in your chart and talk about how this is landing for you and how you can make it easier.
Yeah.
So
when people come to work with you, is it your preference or that they have a burning question or focus, or do you think the first time they work with you, it's better just to kind of, spread their chart out and see what you see?
Either one will work. Because what guides me is the chart. It's not so much what you ask.
Okay.
So if you have a burning question, which people often do when they come to me, it's almost, it helps if you communicate it with me. But the chart is going to give me the burning question. This is what I'm trying to say. Like whatever is the most pressing issue in your life, it's going to be really clear in the chart. So that's what we're going to end up talking about. It's not like you're going to come in with something you really need to be addressed and I'm going to talk about something else entirely. It's not going to happen because the chart is going to point to what's up in your life. And so either thing, you can come in with a big question, we'll talk about that. You can come in just open to the wisdom of the chart, and chances are we'll hit on the burning question anyway. And just the way I work is really, and I hope you know this from your experience with me, it's not about the planets doing stuff to you. It's not about fate doing anything to you. I really honor the fact that you are always the most powerful decision maker about your own life. Not the planets, not the fates, not me or any other practitioner that you work with. And that now, this moment, no matter what the past holds or what bit of the future that we can see, now is always the moment in which you can choose and choose something different. So I'm all about really empowering my clients to be empowered in their own choices in the moment and feel a sense of connection to themselves and their own inner guidance. And that is my job, is to hook you up with your own inner guidance so that then you can feel that sense of power and renewal because you've been reconnected to what you knew anyway. And I have a bigger picture, right? I can look down the road a little bit and tell you what to expect, but it's really about amplifying your own gifts. And I hope that's been your experience.
It absolutely has. And just to step away from that, I think all of us live with a certain amount of self-doubt. Like, can I trust what I think I'm knowing?
Yeah.
Our yogic practice and other spiritual practices, for example, give us this opportunity to listen more intently inward to that wisdom that's there.
Yeah.
But to have it reflected back to you, like it's kind of like a stamp, you're on the right track.
It's powerful, right? Just to be seen and just to have that reflected back and to have another voice outside of you articulate what your inner voice is saying. It's really powerful.
Even if the news or the awareness or the wisdom is sort of difficult and not exactly what you would have wished for, you know, it's still, there's something comforting for me is ignorance is not bliss for,
No, it really
for the
isn't.
most part. Now when you're trying to make important decisions about how you live your life and wanting to have a quality of life, you know, it
Yeah.
is bliss. So to just say, okay, I understand. This is, you know, what the energy of the universe is doing, not to me, but actually on my behalf. There is some
Always.
this is pushing me towards a greater expression of myself.
That's
And
such a
know that,
beautiful way to say it. To say it's the universe is not doing this to me, it's doing it on my behalf.
yeah,
Such a good reminder when we're walking through really difficult passages of life, as most of us are right now.
yeah,
And another piece that's really helpful, simple but helpful about astrology, is it gives us a timeline. Sometimes, you know, when you're like you in the, I keep going back to that share with you in the bike tunnel,
yeah,
or and on your bike in the tunnel.
yeah,
Um, if we know, like you're going through the darkness, if you know this is 10 more miles of darkness or this is 1 more mile, the 10 miles maybe is not such great news, but at least you know. So you know when you're going to get to the light part, right? And we can do that too. Like I just find that, especially when people are having really challenging transits, it's a relief to know, for me to say, like, whether it's next week or in 6 months, to say this is when this is going to ease up and you're going to feel the reward of it and things will get better.
yeah,
It's really so, I mean, this for me is one of the most powerful things, that I can look ahead when I'm in a rough patch and say, it's okay. They're called transits for a reason. They're transitory. We cycle through all of this learning. Some are longer than others, but just knowing when we're going to have learned that lesson or when that pressure is going to be relieved from our life is so helpful.
yeah, it
Yeah.
absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bronwyn. I think
Oh,
this is like you've once again given us just a beautiful dip into, you know, greater, deeper, broader understanding. And it renews me every single time we have these
beautiful.
sessions. So
I'm really, really happy to hear that. And I really enjoy these talks. And
good.
yeah, just everyone take the weekend to do some releasing, honor that new moon on Monday with a fresh outlook. You will be feeling maybe a little bit emptied out, but also re-inspired and kind of cleansed.
Okay.
It's things are,
So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, you could say are the most potent days of the new moon this time, right? Because the new moon is Monday, so it's the day before and the day after.
yes.
Too.
And
Okay.
here's one really important key if you're going to do some people like to do new moon journaling or set new moon intentions. It's really important to, like, don't do that on Sunday, because on Sunday we're actually in that dark moon. We're still releasing. It's important to know the exact time of the new moon, because you want to wait until after that time to do any of your new moon rituals. Remember last time we talked about on an eclipse moon, we don't even do those. We just want to surrender. But normally on a new moon, it's nice to co-create with that energy and to maybe spend a little time with your journal and say, this is how I want to nurture myself over the next month. Nice Cancerian wishes. But please don't do that until, and if, just a second, I'll tell you exactly what time it is for you guys. So it's 10:32 a.m. Pacific time, so that's going to be 12:32 p.m. for you there in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And if anybody's listening from the East Coast, that's add 1 more hour. You know what to do with time zones. 10:32 Pacific, so 12:32 p.m. on Monday. So all of Monday morning, we're really still in releasing time. And then if you want to do your little ritual or big ritual, do it anytime, anytime Monday afternoon, anytime on Tuesday. It's all good. Yeah.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
Thank you so much, Megan. We'll see you next month.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.